Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content. For a lot of teams in the NBA, it's a struggle to get to where the Cavs have gotten to, right? The Cavs, when LeBron James left, did not have very many prospects. Now they're at a place to where we're not really talking about the best since LeBron James stats anymore. We're not building ourselves out that shadow. This is a completely different era of Cavs basketball, absent of LeBron, that has its own accomplishments and its own pros and cons associated with it. And part of the tricky part about being a team in that situation is balancing what got you to this point with what could get you to the next point. Right. And this comes up with the Cleveland Cavaliers when it comes to avenues that the Cavs can get better. Now, first, you have to ask yourself this question. Have we seen the peak of the potential of this core four together? Keeping in mind that Donovan Mitchell is on a different timetable than Evan Mobley and Darius Garland, right? Donovan Mitchell is significantly older than those two players. That Jared Allen is potentially on a different timetable than, the two younger players. Like, will these players be at their best all together at the right time? And will that be enough to win a championship? Because, I have no doubt that Evan Mobley is going to grow into being one of the better players in the NBA, right? He has top 5 potential written all over him. But Evan Mobley is super young. Donovan Mitchell's 28. So let's say it takes 3 years for Evan Mobley to get to that level. Well, then what's Donovan Mitchell going to be at 31? What's Darius Garland going to be like at that point of his career? What's Jared Allen going to be like at that point of his career? What is the ceiling of this group this year? What is the ceiling of them overall, given where they're at age-wise, since they're all so different from each other, and also where they're at fit-wise? Is this a core that you can win a championship with? I don't think we know the answer to that yes or no definitively. I know people have their answer to that, but I don't think we have an answer to that yes or no definitively, which makes conversations like the one that's currently going on with the Cavs core four and upgrading difficult to have. Because right now the question is, should the Cavs be willing to part ways with one of their core four members? If you don't know who the core four is, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, to pursue an upgrade. Now, for all purposes, when we're talking about the core four, we're really not talking about trading Donovan Mitchell or trading Evan Mobley. That's not going to happen. What you're talking about is trading Jared Allen and or Darius Garland. Is that something that you're comfortable with? And how good does that player have to be for you to be comfortable with doing that? And is Evan Mobley at a place to where if this team's timeline fast forwarded a couple of years, would that be good for his development? Let's talk about the rumor that's out there with Jimmy Butler, who may be available. The Cavs are a really good team. Jimmy Butler wants to be traded to a contender. It would make sense. A lot of people saying that Cleveland makes sense as a landing spot for Jimmy Butler. And on paper, if you just considered those factors, Cleveland makes a ton of sense as a landing spot for Jimmy Butler. You have to ask yourself this question, though. Are the Cavs in desperate win now, we need to get a championship right now mode? Because this is not the move that an up-and-coming team makes. And I think the Cavs are more up-and-coming than win now. because Evan Mobley has not developed into that top 5 player yet. He's getting closer and closer every day, but he's not developed into that. You're really running this off the strength of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and what they can do in the backcourt. So, like, trading for Jimmy Butler right now, for me, while it makes sense on paper and in the super short term, I think it's something that could bite you in the ass in the long term. Because Jimmy Butler is not the Jimmy Butler from like 6 years ago. He's 35 years old. He's close to the end. You don't know which version of Jimmy Butler you're getting. I'm pretty sure when we imagine trading for Jimmy Butler, we're imagining the Jimmy Butler that carried the Heat to the finals 2 times. We're imagining that's what he's going to be. He's going to be playoff Jimmy all the time. You think about that, when you think about him like that, he's an elite wing. The Cavs need wings. He would obviously be the best wing on the roster. But would that be worth potentially sacrificing your longevity by giving up a Darius Garland or giving up a Jared Allen? You also have to ask yourself this question. Is Jimmy Butler enough to cash out on one of those 4 guys? Because let's say you're assuming you're going to trade one of those 4 guys eventually, right? Not Evan Mobley, but Donovan Mitchell as he gets older, Darius Garland, and Jared Allen. Let's say you're assuming that you're eventually going to trade one of those guys, which I think is a fair enough assumption to make. If they don't win like a championship, a surprise championship in the next year or so. Let's say you don't do that, and you're shopping one of these guys. Is Jimmy Butler at 35 years old enough to cash out? I don't think it is. Is Jimmy Butler, in exchange for Darius Garland, going to win you a championship? Because if you make that trade to win a championship this year, you got to win it. Like, you can't just be in a better place to win a championship. You have to make a move that puts you over the top to win a championship. Like, if you're going to sacrifice one of these core guys, and especially when that core guy is 10 years younger than the guy that you're trading for. That needs to be considered. A lot of knee-jerk reactions about what the Cavs should not do, right? I think a lot of people love to go into the trade machine, cook something up and say, well, the Cavs need a wing. They should trade for Kyle Kuzma. The Cavs need a wing. They should trade for Jimmy Butler. But really, really think about what that cost and what the upside is and what the downsides are. Because we've lived through it in this city in multiple different sports. When you make a decision and you're too focused on the short term, that you can't see any of the long-term damages that could potentially be brought up, you're going to set yourself up for failure. And Jimmy Butler at 35 years old feels good if they make it. Like, if they make that trade, I'm going to make the video. A lot of people are going to be excited about it. And there's going to be people who haven't watched the Cavs in like 10 years decide they about to jump on and watch the Cavs. But that doesn't guarantee you success. That just guarantees you a little bit of energy, a little bit of excitement. And I don't know if this version of Jimmy Butler that exists today, and I'm not saying he's a bad player right now. He's really not a bad player. But he's not the Jimmy Butler we all remember anymore. Like, he's much older. He's much more apt to miss games. He was already somebody who came into the league with a lot of tread on his tires, right? He only played 60 games the year before, 64, 57. He has not played over 65 games since 2016. Like, this is what Jimmy has been. And he's only gotten older since then, right? He's averaging 19. How many minutes is he giving you a game? About 32. He's still a solid player, still shooting good from 3, still able to do a lot of the stuff that Cavs fans want their wing to do. And maybe he is an upgrade at the end of the day. But is he an upgrade enough to put you in the championship contention? I think maybe 5 years ago that'd be the case. If you're getting 30-year-old Jimmy Butler or 29-year-old Jimmy Butler, who's also a no-nonsense, like, lockdown on every possession defensive player of the year candidate, But the last 2 years, Jimmy Butler has not been that. So that brings up a ton of questions about if this is actually the move that the Cavs should pursue. And just overall, even if we're not focusing on the Jimmy Butler trade, when would it be the right time to trade one of these core four guys? I just don't think right now is the time to do it. Because, yes, the Cavs have an exciting record, but we don't even know what their ceiling is right now when they're all healthy, playing well. That's what I think this year is about. Find your ceiling with this core four. Figure out what you can do with these guys before you start tinkering off. Because you might find out that you don't need to add that much more. That these four guys are enough with a little bit of extra to get you somewhere. Like, imagine if Golden State prematurely had decided, well, we can only go but so far with Draymond Green as our center. And they traded Draymond Green to get a traditional center that everybody was begging them to get. And that dynasty never happens. Or at least not in the way that it happened in our timeline. That is what I'm worried about with this Cavs team. Let's just see what we got in this core first. There's no need to be super aggressive. Donovan Mitchell is not of the age where you're starting to worry about him significantly falling off. He's still under 30. Darius Garland is super young. Evan Mobley is still growing and developing. Jared Allen is still young. Why not see what you can do with this core? Why not see what this core looks like with Max Strus? Right? Let's see what we have there. And then if that's not enough to reach the goals that we want to get to, then let's make some moves and cash out. But cashing out right now would seem really premature because that's basically saying you think you have enough to win a championship, no doubt, this year. And we don't have any idea where the Cavs are, positive or negative, other than they're likely going to be one of the top 3 seeds in the East this year. So that's my thoughts on some of the rumors going around and just my process, how I think about all of these things that include the core four, trading one of them. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. You guys have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.